Hello everybody, this is the Old School Noob, and today we're going to be doing another deck profile. Now, just like the ABC Karakuri deck profile, the Cubic Synchro deck profile is going to be budget oriented. Now, like Cubics honestly are pretty cheap. Like, I think you can get play sets of these the ultra rare versions of the cards, maybe even the gold rares, for like £1.50 on eBay. Like, they're that cheap. It's pretty ridiculous. Like, they're really underused, really undiscovered kind of archetype that can deal a lot of damage. Now, obviously, this isn't like super hyper meta, otherwise it would be played a lot, but it can compete. It can compete very well. It does a lot of damage to a lot of decks very quickly. The only one that I've been really stumped by is Zodiacs, but there are certain precautions in the deck that can kind of disable a Zodiac board, like Cubic Wave, for example. So let's get into the deck profile. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, please leave a like and a comment saying why you did and what you would like to see for another deck profile. So we're going to begin with the monsters. Now, the monsters are really interested in this deck, so we're going to start with Doozer. Doozer's a pretty good card. It's the main engine of the deck. If you're going to play this deck, don't run 2, don't run 1, run 3, because without Doozer, the deck doesn't work properly. So essentially, Doozer is there to mill out a cubic card from your deck to the graveyard when it's summoned. So you're going to ditch Unification or Karma, so you can then add a cubic from the deck to the hand or from the deck to the field. So it's actually got a second effect where if a cubic monster is sent from the field to the graveyard, it gains, I think, 200 for each 200 attack for each different monster in your grave, so that's good in late game. If your opponent destroys someone on your field and you have a Doozer, you know, you can stop them from attacking pretty much. So then we've got triple Crimson Nova. Now, Crimson Nova is so OP, like its only real weakness is any monster over 3k or spells and traps. So Crimson Nova, you can attack twice with it. If you destroy a monster, you can attack a second time. Also, it can't be affected by monster effects from a monster with 3k or lower attack. So essentially, Black Rose does not work. It's pretty insane. And then at the end of your turn, it deals 3k damage to both players. So, I mean, it is really bad for you, but it's also really bad for the opponent, especially if you've just hit them with Crimson Nova. So the third monster we're going to be looking at is triple V-Jam. Now, V-Jam I don't really utilise as much as I should. V-Jam is basically like a Fiendish Chain which can't be destroyed by battle. So if your opponent's trying to shift this off the field and they don't have an effect that can shift it off the field, if they attack it and they don't know what they're playing against, you can Fiendish Chain a monster on their field, like you add a cubic counter onto them, and then in your main phase, you can special summon V-Jam back to your side of the field. So you essentially get a free Fiendish Chain, unless they can try and remove V-Jam from the field. So we've also got the sort of 3 names, as kind of everyone seems to call them. We've got Buster Gundil, Giriguile, and then Vulcan Dragonet. Now, I've changed the list I was using originally to Giriguile. It had like that, the site of the more bulky one, I don't know what it's called, the big blue one, but I changed it to Giriguile because it's got the same summoning conditions where you have to tribute a cubic to special summon it. It deals 800 damage and it gains 800. But the other effect which I was attracted to, and this is why I switched it out, is I have got this effect off quite a few times, surprisingly. And if you get his effect off, A, you can use the Karma effect, which halves your opponent's life points, and B, you get to add Vulcan Dragonet to your hand. So that's better than the other one that was in every other list I've seen. Now, really, you don't want to get these cards off, but I mean, they're good to be there. I do summon them sometimes, especially Behemoth, because if Behemoth gets destroyed, you get 3 Doozers back to your field, and then you can ditch a load of stuff if you haven't already, and it kind of restarts the cycle. Now, there are some other monsters that aren't cubics in the deck. So I run the triple Red Resonators. Now, Red Resonators are really good, because if you draw this guy on the first turn, or if you draw a Resonator Call, then you get a free summon. So you summon a Resonator, and then you special summon like a Doozer or a Cubic Seed or something, and then you can make a Coral Dragon, and then you can make a Leo. Now that's pretty simple. So we've also got 2 Summoner Monks, and Summoner Monk is kind of self-explanatory. You're going to ditch your spells. There's like half the deck spell cards. So you ditch a spell, summon a Doozer, and then you ditch something, and then you like Xyz or something, you know. And then finally we have a Card Trooper. I've just added that in. It's basically with Reasoning and Monster Gate. If they don't work properly, or if you end up summoning Card Trooper from that, you can then mill a further 3 cards. And you know, it works pretty well. It's really efficient in getting the spells and traps in the grave. So onto the spells, we've got triple Cubic Karma. Now Cubic Karma is basically another staple in the deck, because if it's in the grave, you can banish it, so you add a Cubic card to your hand. So say you are missing a Cubic in your hand to summon Crimson Nova, you ditch that, and then you can summon Crimson Nova. Or say you are missing Crimson Nova in your hand and you have 3 other Cubics, you ditch that from the grave and get a Crimson Nova. Now you've also got triple Cubic Wave. Now Cubic Wave I have used quite a few times, because if you activate it from the hand, you can double a Cubic monster's attack permanently, and then halve a monster on your opponent's side of the field attack permanently. So if you use that with Crimson Nova, it's really stupid, because you get a 6k beat stick that can attack twice. I mean, like, try and get over that. It's really stupid. So Chaos Max can go bye-bye if you use that combo. We've also got Upstart Goblin, kind of obvious, like, it gives your opponent 1,000, but you do get to draw a card, which is useful. You get a Reasoning. Reasoning is also very good, because it allows you to mill the spells and traps, which is basically the main goal. That's kind of why Card Trooper's in there as well. We've also got Monster Gate, which does the same thing, lets you summon a monster, also lets you mill spells and traps. And then Soul Charge is really useful, especially late game, if it hasn't been milled already, which has happened to me a lot of times, because it allows you to summon back, especially Red Resonator. Red Resonator, if it's specialed back, you can target one monster on the field and gain its attack as life points. So if your life points are too low for you to use Crimson Nova's effect and not get a draw, you can basically Soul Charge, get a Red Resonator back, and gain like Leo or Crimson Nova's attack, like 6k or something. And, you know, it's actually really useful, especially if you're trying to get certain monsters back to the field. So we have got triple Resonator Call. Now Resonator Call is of course good for getting those first turn Red Resonators. Now there have been a lot of times where I haven't drawn a Resonator and I have drawn a Resonator Call, so it essentially takes your deck down by 3 cards. And even if you do draw a Resonator Call and a Red Resonator, and you've already got something stupid like Leo on the field, you can use that and then summon the Red Resonator and then special the Red Resonator. So you've basically just got a free 3100 life points. So we've also got double hand destruction. A lot of lists I've seen have had 3, and I found 3 really kind of cloggy, which is why I reduced it to 2, because a lot of the time your opponent isn't going to have 2 cards in the hand, and also there are a lot of times where you won't have 2 cards in the hand either. So it's a good card to discard as well, but like, it's not worth clogging up that much. We've also got triple Twisters, because obviously Twisters is a discard outlet, plus you get to destroy 2 backbench. Just hoping that you don't hit a Dimensional Barrier. It's mainly for strikes, because Dimensional Barrier doesn't do much against this deck, apart from Synchros, but you know. And then we finally got Regeki. Regeki's kind of straightforward, you just destroy your opponent's field. You know, it's pretty straightforward, everyone knows what Regeki does. So the final 3 cards are going to be Cubic Unification. Now Unification is really great, because it's basically, if it's in your grave and a Cubic card on your side of the field is moved from the field, whether it's banished or destroyed or sent to the deck or the hand, you can activate it. You can special summon a Cubic from the deck, and it's basically how you just get more Doozers out every time. If you Synchro or whatever, you get another Doozer, activates effect, dump another Unification or Karma, and you know, it's a great little loop that you can do for a few moves. So on to the extra deck. The first couple of cards are going to be Coral Dragons. Now Coral Dragons are great because they are just level 6s and they're also tuners. Also their effect means that when they get synchroed or destroyed, you know, you get to draw one card, which is in this deck pretty good. So the main reason you're going to run Coral Dragon is for Leo. Now essentially Coral Dragon plus a Doozer or a Summoning Monk or something else, you know, summons a Leo. Leo's really great because it's 31. Most boss monsters are 3k. It also can't be targeted until your main phase 2. So it's a pretty great card, especially against ABCs and stuff. So we've also got Stardust Charge Warrior. I personally haven't played this yet because really 2k is too weak to attack anything that's special summoned, if I'm honest. Like, most of the time if stuff gets special summoned, it ends up turning into a extra deck card which is over 2k. So I mean, to be fair, Stardust Charge Warrior is kind of just there, say if I've already used up the Coral Dragons. So I've also got Utopia and Utopia Lightning, because obviously if you have not been able to summon Crimson Nova and you just happen to have 2 level 4s like a Summoner Monk and a Doozer, you can then just go into your Utopia Lightning and do the 5k in the battle phase. So I've also got a Dragulas, the Vampiric Dragon. Now Dragulas is good, I haven't used it yet, but it is good. If it gets destroyed or sent from the field, you can special summon it in face down defense mode. So it's effectively completely invincible. And if it gets flipped in any way, you get to destroy one card on your opponent's side of the field. It's literally the most broken thing. So unless your opponent can banish it, you've got if once you get this out, you've basically got a monster that just keeps coming back. So we've also got a Cairn Gorgon, Anti-Luminescent, and Abyss Dweller. Now Abyss Dweller is kind of a bit backwards, but it's like if someone else is playing Cubics, you're going to want to play Abyss Dweller, because Abyss Dweller blocks graveyard effects. So if someone plays Abyss Dweller against this deck, you are basically screwed. So you want to try and get as much stuff like Crimson Novas out or XCs as you possibly can before they summon an Abyss Dweller. And Cairn Gorgon is really great because if it's on the field and someone tries to like use Zodiacs, you can basically just decide no. You can make their Zodiac destruction effect go to another monster like that you don't want. You can actually make it go towards a cubic card, destroy the cubic card, and then summon like another 2 or 3 cubics out using the unifications. So it's actually a really great card against the meta currently, because most stuff targets. And there's also Constellation Ptolemy M7 and Trinity. I haven't summoned Trinity yet, but it's pretty OP, because literally just when you attack with it, it deals 3k automatically. Like, you don't even have to go through with the attack. You just have to declare an attack and it deals 3k. So we've also got this dude. Now he's basically just great because he can return something from the graveyard to the hand. And you know, graveyard effects are a thing in the meta, so as a little add-on, here are a few cards that could be kind of sided or put into the deck depending on your preference or what you're playing against at your locals or at the regionals or whatever. So Necroface is pretty decent in this deck because if it's not summoned by Reasoning or Monster Gate and you draw it and you can normal it, then you can return all banished cards from your opponent and yours back into the deck and shuffle. So you can essentially reload your entire deck. And with this deck it's good because this deck can actually kind of run out really quickly in about 4 turns. So Necrophase is good but kind of hard to pull off, because literally when I put that in my deck I was ending up special summoning it instead of normal summoning it. So there's also Dark Hole, which is kind of obvious. You're allowed to, so you know, you can run 2 if you want. Dark Hole just basically blitzes the field. My Body is a Shield is actually being played now. I'm not sure about it because it's 1500. I don't know if it belongs in Cubics. It can belong in other decks, but Cubic's 1500 life points is actually quite a bit. Like, it can be the difference between a draw and a win. But, I mean, it's good for anything else, but you side it in if you want. Spiritual Swords has actually been used in YCS Seattle, and I was actually thinking about using this beforehand. Like, I used this on Saturday, and it's pretty funny because if it gets milled out just the same as a Cubic card, you can use its banish effect, which basically just negates your opponent's direct attacks. And also, if it's in your hand and you activate it from face down, just pay OK and negate their attacks. So, you know, it's a good card. I'd definitely recommend using it. Thank you very much for watching this deck profile. If you did like the video, please leave a like and comment below saying what you liked about it. Also, give me some information on what you think could be altered with the deck, because to be honest, it is still a work in progress, and I think there is certain ways, certain cards that I've completely forgotten about that could make this deck a lot faster. So if you have any of those recommendations, please leave them below. Apart from that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.